grandparents started going up there with my mom. That was their vacation.
Growing up, it becomes a regular vacation spot for Terry and her siblings, too.
My mom loved it because she knew it was a safe area. We could go roaming through the woods, but she knew all of those trails from growing up there, so she always knew where we were and how to find us.
Thursday, June 10th, 2010. Terry and her family are enjoying a lazy day, dodging raindrops.
We never let the rain bother us. We knew that was part of camping, that you had to be prepared for rain.
Terry and a few friends and family members set up tents in a primitive camping section, while others, including her mother, are staying in a camper a short ways up the river in the RV section known as Area D.
We were teasing her about it and, yes, go back to your luxury of air conditioning and we're going to be just fine.
More than 100 miles away at the National Weather Service office in Little Rock, senior forecaster John Lewis and his co-workers are monitoring a storm system that's been on their radar for the past 2 days.
We were watching a very slow-moving storm system that was coming up from Texas. In this case, it was the intensity of the rain that we were most concerned about.
As a precaution, the National Weather Service issues a flash flood watch midday on June 10th.
You should monitor later forecasts and be prepared to take action should flash flood warnings be issued.
But the announcement doesn't reach many campers at the remote Albert Pike Recreation Area, down in a Ouachita mountain valley.
If you're out enjoying the area, hiking, fishing, whatever, you don't know. You don't have a TV, you don't have a cell phone.
There's no cell service here. Some people seem to think that's a good thing. I don't know, but you have to drive over the mountain to try to find spotty reception.
Around 11 p.m., Terry settles into her tent right along the river, while her mother, brother, sister-in-law, and niece turn in for the night in their pop-up camper in the RV area upstream.
Even in the rain, we went to bed peacefully thinking, as long as we stay dry, we're happy.
With the campground fast asleep, John Lewis is growing more uneasy about what's popping up on his screens.
Now you're getting into that 5 to 6 inches of rain, and now you're becoming really concerned. I had never been to Albert Pike. I wasn't familiar with the area. So you're looking at 4, 5, 6 inches of rain on the radar. Well, what does 4, 5, 6 inches of rain do at a place like Albert Pike? All I have is me and the radar, and that's it. As far as what is happening at Albert Pike, I really don't know. I don't know.
1:57 a.m., John issues a flash flood warning.
The National Weather Service in Little Rock has issued a flash flood warning for Montgomery County in western Arkansas.
I start looking at it on a map, and it appears that there's a lot of camping that goes on there, and the Little Missouri River runs through it. That's what gets me more and more concerned.
We were awakened by pounding on the door, yelling for us to get up. I'm a police officer, and so the first thing I thought, either the cabin's on fire or somebody's trying to break in. So I jumped up, and all I could hear was this god-awful roar. I knew immediately what was going on, that it was the river.
The phone rang, and I got up and answered the phone, and it was one of our cabin owners that said that the river was up and there were vehicles floating down the river with their lights on. And the campers in our RV park were floating. When I saw where the river had gotten to, I knew this was going to be a major flood. So I called 911.
2:45 a.m., Janice tells the dispatcher, "Get the helicopters, get ambulances. We have a major situation here."
The river that's normally 100 yards or so at least from my cabin was right at my deck, just a few 15 feet away. And a cabin below us broke away and just started floating down the river. And when it did that, it pulled the electric line that was above our head, and all the electricity in all of Albert Pike went out. everything went dark. The river was so loud. Just the crashes and snaps and bangs and everything was so loud that it was difficult to communicate with someone right beside you. About a minute or so later, we could hear a female that was screaming for help. I had my police car, so I immediately turned my spotlight on her.
3 a.m., John Lewis issues a second flash flood warning.
This includes the Albert Pike Recreation Area, with flash flooding likely.
Inside the federal campground, Terry Roeder is startled awake in her tent along the river.
I heard a big horn blowing, and my cousin had seen the water coming up and blew the horn kind of as a warning to us. It was just a startling moment because when you woke up, the only light you had was flashing of lightning that was constantly going on. You could hear the thunder, but you could hear this continuous roar of the river that you never heard before. When I stood up, I was waist deep in water and realized that it was quickly rising. So I got out from under my tarp, which was fixing to be tilted and washed away as well. The water just took me.
And Doug.
Hour 36 of the stakeout. As soon as the homeowners arrive, we'll inform them that Liberty Mutual customizes home insurance, so they'll only pay for what they need. Your turn to keep watch, Limu. You wake me up if you see anything. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is the Little Flower Soap Company, a small business on Amazon.
I'm Holly.
I'm Justin.
This is their beautiful, luscious, flower-filled soap. These are their employees.
And we're hiring.
This is their lavender field. It's still growing. This is the worst-smelling thing in their office. More than half of everything sold on Amazon stores worldwide comes from small and medium-sized businesses, like the Little Flower Soap Company.
St. Jude is a very special place. It's a home for all these kids that get all these sicknesses.
Cancer, it's trying to take over the whole body, and so you have to fight it.
La leucemia te da dolor de cabeza.
You can join the battle to save lives during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
It takes a heart for somebody to say, I'm willing to give to St. Jude so that they can help save more lives.
Miss me?
Yeah.
Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because all a family should worry about is helping their child live.
It's not fair that a 2.5-year-old has to worry about, am I going to make it?
Cancer doesn't care how old you are, and it's devastatingly scary.
1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive.
The doctor came to me and he said, Mom, you don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm going to take care of your baby.
St. Jude won't stop until no child dies of cancer. Please call or go online right now and become a St. Jude Partner in Hope for only $19 a month. When you call or go online at donatestjude.org with your credit or debit card right now, we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt you can wear to show your support for the children of St. Jude.
We were very afraid when we came here, and now we're not.
Please call or go online at donatestjude.org. Let's end childhood cancer together.
The Subaru Crosstrek. Dog tested, dog approved. Subaru establishes National Make a Dog's Day, helping hard-to-adopt dogs find homes.
You just never think that it's ever going to happen to your community.
And then it hit.
We were nowhere near prepared for what we witnessed.
It was very evident very quickly that this was the big one.
How can weather be that destructive in just a matter of seconds?
Oh my God, this is how I'm gonna die.
Storm Stories, the next chapter. All new episodes Sunday nights at 8 on the Weather Channel.
The National Weather Service in Little Rock has issued a flash flood warning. This includes the Albert Pike Recreation Area.
June 11th, 2010. About 300 campers are still asleep when a flash flood hits the Albert Pike Recreation Area in western Arkansas, along the Little Missouri River.
It started off at 3 feet, and then to have it go from that to going up 3 or 4 feet every half an hour until it reaches, I think it went 20 feet higher that fast. And you're asleep through a lot of it. It's pitch black. There's no light. People can't see you.
After sending out 2 flash flood warnings, National Weather Service forecaster John Lewis calls the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, located near Albert Pike. He wants to know about conditions on the ground.
We didn't feel like the statement was enough, so we called the sheriff's office and said, we might be having flash flooding at Albert Pike. Do you know of anything, and what can we do about it? And I think it had previous flooding over the years, so it was a pretty common occurrence. So he didn't sound really that alarmed by the flooding down there.
After being startled awake by fellow campers banging on their cabin door, Arkansas State Police Captain Brady Gore and his wife rush outside. They see a young woman in the middle of the river, clinging to the remnants of a cabin.
At that point, we saw we had someone in the water. You know, that changed everything for me. I went to work. We had some rope and some flotation devices, and we attempted that a couple times to throw the inner tube to her, but the water was so violent and swift that as soon as that flotation device hit the water, it was gone. At that point, I went back to my police car and radioed the state police troop headquarters in Hot Springs, told them that we needed immediate law enforcement assistance and water rescue personnel.
The response he gets minutes later is not what he's expecting.
Over the radio, I got the bad news that a rock landslide was completely blocking the highway. And so basically, we were on our own for a while.
Half a mile up the Little Missouri River, Terry Roeder is struggling to keep her head above water. The flash flood has just roared into her camp inside the Albert Pike Federal Campground.
Then I realized we needed to move. I needed to go towards the side of the mountain. And it went from my knees to above my chest. And in all this time that I'm trying to move, it just keeps getting higher and higher and deeper. I pretty much had to swim to the side of the mountain. I had to kick my legs and swim because I could no longer touch.
Along with others in her camping section, Terry climbs onto dry land. Then she looks upstream to where her mother and other family members are staying in a camper in the D area of the park.
I kept telling everybody they have to be okay because they were in a different area, the higher ground than we are. And so we thought that they would be okay.
But under the dark of night, things are not at all okay in Area D. With its close proximity to the mountainside and the river, the campsite is actually part of a very narrow floodplain, and it's rapidly taking on water.
My niece Tara told me that she opened the door and the water was right there.
Inside the camper, Terry's mother, brother, and sister-in-law are just waking up.
And then they felt something hit them, and the whole camper imploded.
Terry's 30-year-old niece, Tara, is thrown from the camper and into the raging water. As Tara struggles in the violent current, Terry's 69-year-old mother, Kay, unable to contend with the powerful floodwaters, is washed away. Meanwhile, Terry's brother, Bruce, and sister-in-law, Debbie, are also fighting to stay above the water. A half-mile away at Lowry's campground, owner Janice McCrae and State Police Captain Brady Gore are still trying to reach the woman in the middle of the river who was hanging onto a piece of a cabin wall.
There was too much water and it was too swift. We couldn't get to her.
Around 5:30 a.m., a firefighter pulls her to safety. Water levels soon begin to recede, allowing others who were trapped by the flash flood to finally set foot on solid ground. But the morning light reveals a terrifying tragedy along the Little Missouri River.
I could see several bodies that were around in the debris.
I saw a victim's body there, and I was hoping and praying that was a doll laying there and not a child.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and I wish I could tell you how I feel about a morning like this. And that includes a good hearty breakfast. You need something to kind of warm the whole body up and get it going. It's a great way to kick off your day.
4 lines of unlimited data for $100 a month.
Boop! That makes 10 million and 1 smiles on Cricket.
There's 4 of us, so...
10 million and 5.
4.
Point is, you got a deal. Join over 10 million customers smiling on Cricket.
For years, we weren't getting enough sleep, so we wanted the little sleep we were getting to be the best sleep possible.
Friends were raving about their Boll & Branch sheets, so we looked them up. Not only do they have thousands of 5-star reviews, they are loved by 3 U.S. presidents. Now we know why. They're the softest sheets we've ever felt.
And the fact that they're ethically made from organic cotton helps us sleep easy. Until the kids wake us up.
$50 off your first set of sheets at BollandBranch.com.
The #1 male enhancement brand at Walmart is Ageless Male. And with our science-backed formulas, it's easier than ever to be the man you want to be. Try clinically tested Ageless Male to support free testosterone. Get a fast boost in nitric oxide when you want it most with Ageless Male tonight. Or dare to try Ageless Male Max for a real boost in total testosterone. Never settle. Get the undisputed #1 brand so you can be the man you want to be.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of products. Now, all the strength of original Flex Seal is available in portable, powerful minis. From the toughest jobs to a simple repair, Flex Minis are always there. Now with Flex Minis, you can grab and go. Plus, they're freaking adorable. Whether it's Flex Tape, Flex Glue, or Flex Seal, imagine everything you could do with Flex Minis.
I signed up because I was curious. I learned about my grandfather's life on Ancestry, and it was a remarkable 20th century transformation. He did a lot of living before I knew him.
Bring your family history to life like never before. Get started for free at Ancestry.com.
It's showtime. You're about to see the magic show in 3 and a 2 and a 1.
I hope he makes it back okay.
On November 1st.
I hope he doesn't hurt himself.
I hope someone figures out why all the beavers have Italian accents.
No, bello.
Oui, oui.
That's French.
I'm here to destroy your town. Incoming!
We round up the bad guys, bada bing, bada boom, justice served. How about ya?
You can count on me.
Arctic Dogs, rated PG in theaters November 1st.
DiGiorno pizza bakes fresh in your own oven and travels straight to your table. Unlike delivery that goes from oven to box to bag to car to traffic to wrong houses. Nobody delivers a piping hot and crispy crust like a DiGiorno pizza. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
It's hurricane season. You need to know what weather is heading your way. America's Morning Headquarters has you covered.
We've already got some rain out there this morning and severe storms developing.
So start every day with the best in weather. Join Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno. Weekday mornings starting at 5 for AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
If your joints feel stiff, sore, and achy, it will get worse if you do nothing.
But most products just temporarily hide the symptoms.
Now there's something different. Instaflex Advanced.
It targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms.
Instaflex Advanced bathes your joints in its cutting-edge combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product for relief you can feel, backed by 5 clinical studies. For your complimentary 2-week sample of Instaflex Advanced, text FLEX to 321321.
Don't wait while your stiff, achy joints get worse. Target the root cause with Instaflex Advanced today. It's so powerful you could feel the difference in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC.
But you can only get your complimentary 2-week sample by texting FLEX to 321321. That's FLEX to 321321. Do it now.
Western Arkansas, Friday, June 11th, 2010. Water is receding after a nighttime flash flood ravages the popular Albert Pike recreation area, where hundreds of campers were sleeping.
It was almost like you pull the plug out of your bathtub. That's how fast that the water receded. Unfortunately, we did see the first few casualties of the flood. I could see several bodies that were around in the debris.
I saw a victim's body there. And of course I began to pray. At first I was hoping and praying that was a doll laying there and not a child. And I told my husband that I needed help. There was the body of a child.
Arkansas State Police Captain Brady Gore steps in to deal with the mounting casualties.
There were more bodies, obviously, near the camping areas, but there were some bodies that were on down the river. We made a decision to use the federal camp bathrooms as a temporary morgue.
After having to swim to safety herself, Terry Roeder makes it to higher ground. She drives upriver to where her mother Kay, brother Bruce, sister-in-law Debbie, and niece Tara were staying in a pop-up camper.
When I got out of the truck, I saw my niece standing there alone. And at that moment, I knew in my heart that we had lost my mom and Bruce and Debbie, because otherwise she would not be alone. So I went and I gave her a big hug and we cried together and I said, "It's gonna be okay. I've got you now."
At an office inside the federal recreation area, Terry identifies photographs of the bodies of her mother, brother, and sister-in-law.
I had to go and had my own personal cry so that I could deal with the rest of it, because I knew then I had to be strong and be able to help. My mother would have wanted me to be the person that helps everyone else. They found only the chassis of the trailer days later. The best thing I can describe my mom is that she treated everybody like family. She was one of the matriarchs of Albert Pike.
As the death toll rises, John Lewis is just getting home from his overnight shift at the National Weather Service in Little Rock. After issuing flash flood warnings from afar, John has no idea what's happening at Albert Pike.
I turned on the news, and then all of a sudden it was just like a bomb went off. "We have breaking news," is what the guy said, and I remember it like it was yesterday. "We have breaking news from the Albert Pike recreation area."
2 a.m., the river is about 3.5 feet. By 5:30, it was 23 feet high. I mean, that's a lot of water in a hurry.
4 people have been confirmed dead, and we've got 70 people missing. And at that point, it's like, I didn't know. My mouth was open.
I think the folks that have lived here all their lives have indicated that they've seen floods before, but they've never seen anything like this. So I don't know if anybody can imagine what those people were going through.
When all was said and done, it was 20 fatalities, which in Arkansas was the deadliest flood event in our recorded history. From there, you're left with, did I do everything I could have done? Is there something I could have done outside of driving through there with a bullhorn and waking everybody up? I mean, outside of that, is there? And to this day, I don't know. I just don't know.
These 20 people that lost their lives, they were with their family, camping, first couple weeks of the summer break. And so that's one thing that was tough for me for a long time to overcome, was they were doing what everybody should be doing.
In memory of those lost, Janice McCrae and others erect this memorial on her property.
My life is in 2 stages: before the flood and after the flood. If that can tell you just how much impact the flood had on my life. It's not the property damage, not at all. It's not the lost business. It's the lost people.
In the aftermath of the flood, family members of some of the victims, including Terry Roeder, sue the federal government. They allege that the U.S. Forest Service was well aware that the part of the campground, Area D, where their relatives died, was built in a 100-year floodplain.
They were actually in a floodplain because it was a big circle of the river, and across the street from them was a rock cliff to go up that mountain. So they really, even if they had had the time, they wouldn't have had anything to physically climb up.
Terry and the other plaintiffs also claim the Forest Service failed to place warning signs or train staff on how to handle an emergency.
There were no warning systems set up at Albert Pike to know when the water was getting to a certain level. I think that the deaths could have been preventable.
The suits are dismissed on a technicality. But in the meantime, the government bans overnight camping at Albert Pike, a ban in effect to this day. But Terry Roeder and other veteran campers think it should be reopened with improved safety procedures.
My mother had gone camping at Albert Pike since she was 9 years old. And that was a true tradition and treasure that she shared with all of our family and with our friends. And I definitely believe that she would still want us to go camping. Camping is too much a part of my life to give it up.
This is my home. I'm here for better or for worse. And I hope that it's all the better. That river runs through my veins.
A wrong turn on a forest trail leaves a hiker and her dog stranded deep in the rugged backcountry.
The more I spent trying to go backwards, the more confused I got.
After a fire incinerates most of her cold weather gear, she's left defenseless in the brutally frigid nights with no end in sight.
I was starting to doubt that I was going to get out of there.
That's where I come in. I'm going to take you through some of the most gripping true life battles for survival. With my team of experts, we will show you how to make it out alive.
My name's Creek Stewart, and I teach people how to survive as if my life depended on it.
Boulder Creek Wilderness in southwest Oregon. Its breathtaking woodlands promise quiet escape, but also mask hidden dangers. In July 2018, 43-year-old retired Navy veteran Brandy Molitori and her service dog Aldine begin hiking the popular North Umpqua Trail. The plan is for a week-long 80-mile trek.
I love to hike by myself and don't have to think about anything else. It's the only time that I really feel content and at peace.
A seasoned hiker, Brandy stuffs her new backpack with plenty of warm clothes. She suffers from a chronic intestinal condition, so she always carries her medication.
I had some cold weather gear. The nights were going to be in the 40s, the days 85 and 90. I felt like I had all my gear, everything, and we would be okay.
The first 3 days of hiking go perfectly. On Sunday morning, Brandy calls her daughter to confirm pickup on Wednesday at the trail's end.
I didn't have a lot of charge on my phone, but I wasn't that concerned because it was an area that didn't have a lot of service.
She sets off mid-morning, planning to reach her next stop by late afternoon.
I did have a basic map of the area, and there's been multiple fires that have gone through in the years, so the trail is only partially marked.
After a brisk 2-hour hike, Brandy and Aldine stop for lunch by a creek. That's when she spots a nasty surprise with her new backpack.
I realized that the top compartment of my backpack that I wasn't familiar with, I had left unzipped.
Her GPS watch and solar-powered phone charger have fallen out. She backtracks to look for them, but finds nothing.
I really only had about 4 miles till my next target, so I, wasn't that concerned about it.
As it's growing late, she abandons her search and resumes hiking. But the trail is becoming steeper, and the markers are increasingly scarce.
I followed that along for a couple hours, and I knew at that point I should have got to my next stop and that things were starting to go wrong.
Realizing she's not on the right trail, she immediately turns around, hoping to get back on course before sunset.
I really couldn't find a clear path, and I felt like I was basically going in circles. I pulled out my phone, there was no service there, and the more I spent trying to go backwards, the more confused I got, and I realized I was lost.
Brandy's lost in the Boulder Creek wilderness, which was hit by 2 major wildfires in recent years. The infernos create snags, like what you see behind me here, and these are fire-damaged tree trunks that are extremely dangerous because they could snap or fall over without warning.
In front of me, there was a very steep mountain, vertical, all burnt, but up maybe 1,000 feet, there was a large rock outcropping. My hope was that I could get service from there.
But the 1,000-foot ascent through a forest of snags is exhausting and treacherous. Trying to pull Aldine over a large, half-burnt fallen log, Brandy slips and slams into the ground.
I came down pretty hard on my knee and wrist, and I immediately knew that it was hurt. I couldn't use my left wrist at all.
She pushes through the pain and finally reaches the ledge. But now, darkness is coming fast.
I immediately took my cell phone out trying to get service, and no luck. I'm trying to go to different areas, and my phone completely dies.
Without the solar charger, Brandy's phone is now useless. She fights back panic, realizing how truly lost she is. She spends an anxious night in her tent next to a campfire.
As soon as I woke up, I was in a lot of pain. My wrist was very swollen. My knee was just kind of sprained.
In the morning light, Brandy surveys the vast wilderness around her and confirms her fear. She has no idea how to get back to the main hiking trail.
You hear stories where people go to look for help and they don't get it. They aren't rescued. And I've always been taught, stay put and don't leave.
Brandy figures the search for her will begin in 2 days when she fails to meet her daughter and the authorities are alerted. With plenty of food and gear, she decides to stay put. But she's down to her last drops of water, and surviving depends on finding more.
I could see on the other side of the mountain, there was a little bit of green shrubbery down there. That was gonna be my mission to get water. Aldine was super lethargic, and I decided I was gonna leave him there.
She leaves her tent up, hangs her backpack and food bag in a nearby tree, and stokes her campfire to create signal smoke.
I decided to leave the fire going. I felt like it was pretty safe out there on the rock, but I also knew that I needed to keep it going in order to keep the signal going.
Keeping a signal fire going around the clock is nearly impossible for just one person to manage. Traditionally, it's built in advance and only lit when a rescue crew or an aircraft is spotted. A signal fire has one job, and that's to produce a lot of smoke. And one of the best ways to build one is by setting up a big tripod like this right here that's at least 6 to 8 feet tall. My next step here is I want to put a shelf on this tripod that's about halfway up. So I'm going to tie some sticks right to the legs of this tripod. Now I just need to fill in the middle of this shelf so that I can build a fire right on top of it. I need to fill this inner cavity with combustible materials. In this case, I've gathered a bunch of pine needles and dry sticks. Once we light this on fire, we want it to go up in flames as fast as possible. And that's where all of this airflow that's gonna be able to suck up from underneath this fire is gonna really, really help. The last layer to this is to put on big evergreen boughs. These are gonna protect our materials just in case it rains. These are also what's gonna produce that thick white smoke when we light this on fire. There we go. If Brandy would have had this, it wouldn't have required any more of her energy until the moment it was needed.
With her campfire crackling, Brandy sets off in search of water. That means a grueling 1,000-foot descent through perilously steep terrain.
That was the first time that I really felt like I could be in trouble. Like if I don't have water, I'm in trouble.
Fighting the pain in her knee and wrist, she reaches the green shrubbery she spotted from above.
I started poking and the ground was damp. And I'm like, there's water here. It was just a little underground spring, but it was clear and it was cold and it was my savior at the time.
Brandy drinks as much water as she can and fills all her containers, about a gallon's worth. Then she starts the brutal ascent.
I was fearful of the animals. I saw a ton of bear scat and mountain lion scat, so I knew they were around. And especially with the new water source, I figured that they would be coming closer.
She finally makes it back to her camp, only to find a horrifying surprise.
I could see Aldine, but I didn't see my tent. It was gone. There's just a black rectangle on the ground where my tent was.
She realizes that sparks from the campfire set her tent ablaze. Now it's in ashes, along with gear she desperately needs.
In that tent is my bedding, all my warm clothes, my first aid kit, basically everything I needed. It's like, what are we gonna do now?
There are 3 words that mean everything when you live with migraine. I am here. Aim to say that more with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults that reduces the number of monthly migraine days. For some, that number can be cut in half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
Powerful. Influential. Unstoppable. The right tech can help you move the world and create your own lane. The Nissan Altima. You not only move the world, you can make moves for your future. Presenting the Nissan Altima. Impossibly smart.
Diarrhea? New Pepto Diarrhea to the rescue. Its 3 times concentrated liquid formula coats and kills bacteria to relieve diarrhea. The leading competitor only treats symptoms. It does nothing to kill the bacteria. Treat diarrhea at its source with new Pepto Diarrhea.
For a while, I've had like a kind of negative self-image. With Noom, I was able to learn how to interrupt those thoughts and create new ones. I've never been this confident in my body.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
I'm your cat. And ever since you brought me home that day, well, I've been plotting to destroy you. Sizing you up, calculating your every move. You think this is love? This is 1 billion years of tiger DNA just ready to pounce. And if you got the wrong home insurance coverage, you could be coughing up the cash for this. So get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like Meow.
So you're with the UPS store?
Yes. In fact, we printed these right here.
I thought you guys just did shipping.
No, we do printing, packing, faxing, notarizing, shredding, mailboxing, designing, returning, storing, grading. Oh, and of course, shipping.
So you're into shipping?
We also do printing, packing, faxing.
Come into the UPS store today for everything your small business needs. And of course, shipping. Get a real street address when you open a mailbox at the UPS store today.
Coming up tonight on the Weather Channel at 8, SOS, How to Survive, and at 9, Weather Gone Viral. Then at 10, Storm Stories.
While on a week-long hike in the South Oregon mountains, Brandy Molitori and her dog take a wrong turn and become hopelessly lost. With no way to call for help, she decides to wait for rescue. But a spark from her campfire incinerates her tent, medication, and all her cold weather gear. That changes everything. Now, on the second night of being lost, Brandy is defenseless against the cold.
I still had my food because it was in the bear bag. I still had my backpack. What I didn't have was warm clothes. I didn't have anything warm.
Here in the Cascade Mountains in Oregon, it's common to have a temperature drop of 30 or even 40 degrees once the sun sets. It's gonna get really cold really fast. She doesn't have any of her cold weather gear anymore, and she's gonna start to feel that. She could get hypothermic.
Brandy huddles with Aldine on a small flat rock ledge and braces for a long night with no protection. She's afraid to sleep anywhere close to a fire after losing so much to it already.
It was cold. I knew it was going to be in the 40s, and that was a bad night. There was no sleep that night.
There is a way for Brandy to get some protection from the cold, even in a burned out area where materials might be scarce. Her best shelter option is going to be a simple lean-to. The first thing I'm gonna do is lean this big pole up against this tree as a ridge line. And we're gonna build this lean-to in a few layers. The first layer, I need to put some smaller diameter sticks up against this back wall. I'm gonna line this entire back wall with these sticks. Okay, now I need to put on the next layer, which is a bunch of branches like this right here. And this is to hold the final layer of forest debris in place. What I want to do is pile onto the back side of this as much forest debris as I can find. I'm just going to use pine needles now, but this is what's going to really water and windproof the back side of this shelter. It's really here that you can see the importance of all these branches, because as I sprinkle this debris on, it stays right in place and doesn't fall through the roof of my shelter. This last step is so important. You want to save some of your best stuff for an inside floor of the shelter. This is what protects you from the cold ground on the underside. But for Brandy, a simple lean-to like this can help her stay warm and get a good night's rest.
The morning sun brings welcome warmth to Brandy. She pours her energy into building another strong signal fire.
I would spend hours going up and down the mountain trying to get enough firewood to keep a fire going, because I really felt like that was super important to be found.
She hopes the thick white smoke will attract the attention of fire protection aircraft.
I also had a bright orange clothing bag, and I set that way out on the rocks just so it'd be visible. I kind of started thinking, okay, they could get me with a helicopter.
But that afternoon, Brandy's medical condition flares up. She suffers from Crohn's disease, and the medication she takes to keep it in check was destroyed in the tent fire. I asked wilderness medic Michael Jackson if this illness now threatens her life.
Michael, I've heard of Crohn's disease, but what is it?
It's an inflammatory bowel illness. Brandy's been fighting it for over 20 years. It's a chronic disease and can flare up at any moment.
How serious is it?
It's very serious. Brandy has had her large intestines removed and part of her small intestines, which greatly affects the ability for her to turn food into energy.
So this is really putting her life in jeopardy right now.
Yes, she can't absorb the nutrients, which is causing diarrhea, severe dehydration, loss of energy, and dare I say it, death.
My Crohn's disease, food was just going right through me. I couldn't eat it, just didn't have an appetite.
Sapped of energy, she rests during the day. But another cold night is approaching, and Brandy prepares the best she can. Sleeping by her signal fire is not an option. Instead, she makes a bed out of fir boughs, but her only cover is a thin tarp that she shares with Aldine.
It was the mid-40s with no layers, and I really think Aldine probably saved me, kept me warm, kept me from becoming hypothermic.
Brandy's been lost for 4 days and is out of water again, but the grueling trek to get more fills her with dread.
More than the animals, more than the cold, getting water was terrifying. But I had no choice. You have to have water.
Brandy is hopeful that it's the last trip for water, since today is Wednesday, the day her daughter was supposed to pick her up at the end of the hike.
I figured people could possibly be looking for me today, if not tomorrow. We just kind of had to wait.
But the entire day passes with no sign of a search, and she endures another freezing night while suffering from severe diarrhea.
I figured by day 5 of being lost that there were definitely people out looking for me. My fires near me had went out. So I hiked over to the ridge next to me, and I spent hours making 3 piles with as much wood as I could and lit all 3 of them.
That afternoon, Brandy sees a small plane approaching her ridge, and her hope soars.
I'm out on these rocks and I'm waving this bag around, and I'm completely convinced that this plane sees me and help is coming.
It's a county fire protection plane, and though it flies high, the plane circles her ridge. But soon, it flies on and circles another ridge.
I really didn't know if there were more fires in the area. I figured if there were more fires, that was bad for me because they wouldn't be focusing on me.
The forest fire monitors actually spotted the smoke from Brandy's signal fire, but as she feared, they thought it was a part of a naturally occurring wildfire. Brandy's daughter does report her missing, and a search effort is launched, but Brandy is 8 miles off of an 80-mile-long hiking trail, and so the chances of finding her on the ground are really small. Getting spotted from above may be Brandy's only hope for rescue.
Weak, sick, and thirsty, Brandy faces the darkness with no way to stay warm.
The wind was picking up again. It was like, I don't know if I can do this another night. It's so cold.
Do you have concerns about mild memory loss related to aging? Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand. You can find it in the vitamin aisle in stores everywhere. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Bear presents Tough as Walls.
That's some great paint.
That's some great paint.
Bear Ultra, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with interior paints. Great paint, new low price, starting at $29.98, exclusively at the Home Depot.
If you've tried college but never finished, SNHU lets you transfer up to 90 credits toward your bachelor's degree.
It doesn't matter how old you are, you can do it. You can finish.
Finish your degree at snhu.edu.
Hi. Good to see you.
So Josh, you going for our Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app, driving safe. You wanna go? You wanna go, bro? Hey, do not mess with my discount. You can save up to 30%. Let's go! Nice to meet you. Go get him, Tiger.
Sounds like you've got this.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. See disclaimer for law firms.
Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to financial compensation. If you or a loved one used Roundup weed killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call the number on your screen now.
Call 800-827-2607.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance, but she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
43-year-old hiker Brandy Molitori and her dog Aldine are lost deep in the Oregon mountain wilderness. She lights signal fires on a high ledge hoping to be spotted by search and rescue aircraft. But after 5 days of being lost, she's exhausted and battling a debilitating intestinal disorder called Crohn's disease.
I could feel my body shutting down. Once dehydration sets in, I basically have no appetite. I would try to force myself to get one bite in and just chew it, and it's like I couldn't even swallow it. And I knew that wasn't helping my situation, but I just physically couldn't make myself do it.
Brandy is certain that a small plane that had circled overhead the day before spotted her signal fires. She's out of water again, but hopes that help will arrive before she has to make the exhausting trek down to the spring.
On day 6, I'm up and I'm packed and I'm like, I'm ready. Okay, come on, let's rescue. And the day goes on and there's no planes, there's no helicopter, nobody's coming.
By early afternoon, Brandy has no choice but to face her worst fear.
I was desperately thirsty. By the time 2 o'clock came around, it was like, I have to go get water. I was fearful of animals in the area, so I wanted to go in the middle of the day where I figured they would be sleeping.
Before she leaves, Brandy lays out her orange clothing bag flat on the open ground and writes a note in case searchers find her camp while she's away.
Getting water on day 6 was more difficult than it had ever been. It took even longer. And I mean, I was weak. I remember stopping a lot, feeling super lightheaded.
For centuries, ancient cultures would have used pine or cedar bark containers like this one to carry water. And as much as I'd love to show you how to make one, it just doesn't apply to Brandy's situation. What she needs is a container that's easy to make, easy to carry, and holds a lot of water. Luckily, she's got a backpack and a pair of rain pants. Even though these rain pants are designed to keep water out, they can just as well keep water in. What I'm gonna do is just knot off the bottom of each leg on these rain pants. I'm just gonna use an overhand knot. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Now that I've got both of these knots tied, I can fill each leg. That's gonna be plenty. Right there, that's a lot of water. Now I'm just gonna simply put this right inside of the backpack. All right, before I get this all the way zipped, I'm gonna use a little bit of cordage here. I'm gonna tie off the top of these pants. And then I'm gonna tie these to the handle of this pack so that I make sure to keep the top of these pants upright while I walk. Every gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. For Brandy right now, these 5 gallons are the most important 40 pounds of her life.
Going back up was the worst it had ever been. It actually took me 4 hours with a lot of stopping, and there were definitely times that I wasn't sure that I was gonna get back up.
Back at camp, Brandy checks her orange bag and note. They are undisturbed. She doesn't know that a ground search is still dozens of miles away and concentrating only on the main hiking trail. Brandy is still hopeful and forces herself to eat a warm meal to get her strength up.
I decided we would eat a full meal. I think it was like chicken and rice or something.
But in boiling the water on her camp stove, she knocks over the pot and spills more than 8 ounces of the precious liquid.
Water was so hard to get, and here I had just spilled half of our water. And it was just so devastating at that point.
At Domino's, a delivery gone wrong doesn't just hurt your pizza night.
It hurts our pride. We're going to be expediting this order.
It could be a missing dipping sauce. It could be a wrong topping. It arrives cold.
With Domino's new delivery insurance, if your delivery isn't what you expected, make a claim and we'll make it right.
I noticed you had an issue with your last delivery.
To make up for it, I brought you a medium pizza.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You're welcome. Get 2 medium, 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each.
And put our delivery insurance to the test.
13 years ago, Corbin was diagnosed with cancer. His parents brought him to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
I had no idea what to expect. I thought we were going to lose our child.
Are we done?
We are done.
The tumor was the size of a baseball. I was terrified. He knows that he has a little bump on his back that's trying to make him sick.
Well, it's really little.
His doctor said there's a possibility he might could get it all with surgery. Of course, he said he didn't know until they actually got in there.
So we're all done. Everything went very well.
They were able to get the entire tumor. Oh, thank you so much.
For 12 years, Corbin was cancer-free, but he would need St. Jude again.
My name is Corbin. I'm 15 years old, and I was recently diagnosed with cancer in my right arm.
Are you hurting anywhere?
No. And it's scary, you know.
Corbin does have a genetic predisposition to develop cancer. The only thing that comforted us was St. Jude isn't going to give up. These doctors and nurses are never going to stop fighting for your child.
Thank you.
Join the fight and become a partner in hope with a gift of just $19 a month. When you join with your credit or debit card right now, we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt you can wear to show your support.
But you seem to recover pretty quickly.
The strides that they've made in research, that's why we have Corbin today.
Discoveries made at St. Jude are freely shared with doctors and scientists around the world to save more children like Corbin.
The supporters have already done so much for me, and that's why I'm here right now.
I could not imagine my life without him.
That's Corbin.
Please call or go online at joinstjude.org. Become a St. Jude partner in hope.
I haven't had an eye exam or new glasses in years. Good thing I just enrolled in a VSP individual vision plan. It's comparable to the vision coverage many people get through work, but I can buy it on my own. The next business day after enrolling, I get everything I need to see clearly again, starting with an eye exam from a VSP network doctor. Followed up by savings on quality glasses and lens enhancements. It's that easy. Find your plan today to get an extra $20 to spend on featured frame brands at vspdirect.com.
This is Ava. These are Ava's shoulders. They square off, hold firm, bear it all. This is her physical therapist, who lends his strength to hers. These are Ava's shoulders, now stronger than ever. This is what Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield does for Ava. And with plans that fit every budget, imagine what we can do for you. This is the benefit of Blue.
For 6 days and nights, Brandy Molitori and her service dog Aldine survive on a high mountain ledge in southern Oregon, battling a serious medical condition, frigid nights, and fear of wild animals. Brandy keeps signal fires going, but no help has arrived yet, despite her being reported missing 2 days earlier.
I woke up that 7th day and I could see my feet were swollen, my joints were swollen. I now had bruises on my hips from laying on the ground. Physically, I was feeling pretty beat up.
Although she has eaten almost nothing because of her medical condition, Brandy is down to just a couple days worth of food. Another day and night go by with no help arriving, and Brandy starts to worry she and Aldine will simply perish in the wild. She writes a final goodbye on a log. But around noon on day 8, she hears an aircraft approaching.
Another plane flew over, and I basically just sat there on the rocks crying with this orange bag over my head, just basically pleading to the universe, like, please see me. This plane has to see me.
Remember the signal fire I built earlier? Well, now it's time to light it up. And what Brandy needs is a way to do that instantly. And she can use something that you might not expect, her hand sanitizer. This stuff is 70% alcohol and highly flammable. All I have to do is squirt some of this on these pine needles and hit it with a spark. Those thick plumes of smoke are one of the best ways to let rescuers know exactly where you are. But the plane that may have been her last chance flies on. Brandy is crushed.
I was letting myself go to this dark place, and I really just thought they probably weren't searching for me anymore. I was too far off the trail, and I just was starting to doubt that I was gonna get out of there.
After the 8th night of bitter cold and little sleep, Brandy is jolted awake at dawn.
Aldine starts barking, and I turn around, and there is a black bear 20 feet from us. I start just blowing my whistle. I'm taking my trekking poles and like hitting trees and yelling.
Fortunately, the noise works and the bear retreats. But as Brandy's adrenaline wears off, exhaustion and desperate thirst replace it. She has only a couple of ounces of water left and no energy for the 1,000-foot descent to the spring. All she can do is crawl into a patch of sun to get warm.
I started coming to terms with the fact that I was maybe not going to get out of there. And then I hear a helicopter. I could hear it getting closer and closer, and came out over the loudspeaker, and he said, "We know where you are. Help's coming."
It turns out that Brandy's tiny orange bag had just been spotted in a photo taken days earlier by one of the planes that flew over her, and the chopper was sent to investigate. A few hours later, a 3-man rescue crew climbs over the ridge. Brandy and Aldine are saved.
That was exhilarating, the best feeling ever. I remember that wave of relief, finally for the first time.
Too weak to walk out, Brandy is evacuated by helicopter. Aldine is walked to safety by the ground rescuers. After being treated for severe dehydration, inflammation of her intestines, and complications from her Crohn's disease, Brandy makes a full recovery.
I still love the woods. I mean, I still hike. Since this experience, Aldine and I have become so close. We have a bond that is forever changed, for sure.
Brandy stayed in place and barely made it out alive. But a group of hikers in a flooded river canyon will have no choice but to keep moving. Less than a week before Christmas in 2016, 4 childhood friends from southern Louisiana decide to backpack and camp in the wilderness along the Gila River in New Mexico's Gila National Forest.
It was the first time that any of us had ever been to New Mexico, too. So we wanted to see what it would be like to kind of experience a forest in a desert.
They set off in late morning on December 21st. Their goal is to reach the Jordan Canyon and Hot Springs and return in time to drive home before Christmas. They inform the park rangers of their plan and check the weather before leaving.
It said that it was going to be a light drizzle, and it said it was going to be snowing, but it was going to be snowing a couple of days after we were supposed to be leaving.
To reach their destination, they'll have to cross the Gila River multiple times, but the friends are unfazed. They bring a camera to document their big adventure.
However, when we got to the first crossing, it was only around shin deep. It was a very light stream, beautiful, clear, nothing to worry about.
Our hike there was about 5 hours in total. We had crossed about 7 river crossings. By the time it was dark, we were all ready to pack it down, and we're just like, you know what, we'll just camp here.
They only make it to Jordan Canyon, and as light rain sets in, the group gets some much-needed sleep. In the morning, they wake up to some ominous weather.
It was a little bit colder, and the rainfall was increasing ever so slightly. So we decided not to take up all of our gear and possibly get it soaked as we went to the hot springs. So we decided just to keep all of our gear there and enjoy the time that we could around the campfire and with our friends.
Due to the rain, they agree to bag the rest of their hike and head back the next morning.
Thursday night, we decided to splurge a little bit and eat more than we should have because supposedly we were preparing for the long hike back.
We had tuna, granola, roasted some sausages, the whole shebang. Feasted like kings, to say the least. We had pretty much run out of all the filtered water that we had brought with us, and we had the filter straw, so we just kind of drank out the river.
Bellies full and spirits high, they settle in for what should be their final night. Drizzling rain lulling them to sleep.
Friday morning, I woke up to the sound of rushing water. When I saw the water, the first thing I thought was, we're not getting out of here today.
It went from a crystal clear river to just mud and debris.
The river rose about 10 feet, so we were kind of panicking.
Because of its large watershed and narrow canyons, the Gila River is prone to flash floods. But what these four friends from Louisiana are experiencing is not a flash flood. It is a rain-driven event. 2 days of near constant precipitation have turned the Gila into a monster. And unlike a flash flood, it will take days for the water to recede, rather than hours.
It was rushing. It was just about the fastest moving water that I've ever seen. We sort of tried to figure out what our next plan of action was because we had no idea what to do.
Entrapped by steep canyon walls with no cell phone service and a violent ice-cold river cutting them off from the trail, all they can do is wait it out and hope the river goes down.
We had one stick of salami, so we sectioned it out with a knife, and we each took around an inch chunk.
I had a panic attack that night, if I'm being honest. In the back of my mind, I was like, this might be really bad.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard, with feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
This is the Nutrisystem sale you don't want to miss.
Introducing the 2-for-1 sale. Get 2 months of food for the price of 1. It's like getting a month of food free. Enjoy your favorite foods made healthier. Perfectly balanced to put your body in fat-burning mode. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 60 pounds with Nutrisystem.
Count, measure, meetings? Not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now. You'll get specially designed meals.
You get the right foods in the right portions, so you'll learn how to keep the weight off.
Plus 1 week of Fresh Start shakes with probiotics to shrink your belly free.
There's even a money-back guarantee.
This sale won't last. Get 2 months of food for the price of 1. Good on every plan until you reach your weight loss goals.
Call or go online right now.
Go online or call 877-669-FIT9 right now to get 2 for the price of 1 plus probiotic shakes free.
So sad, tears are in your eyes. Come on and talk to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through.
Animals are abused every day, and they can't ask for help. They endure indescribable acts of violence, but they're without a voice. Without a voice to say they're frightened and in pain. They're alone, they're scared, and they need your help.
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you.
Visit us at joinaspca.org or call this number now to join. Sign up for just 63 cents a day, and you'll help rescue animals who are suffering.
Talk to me now.
Please make this the moment that you say, I won't stand by while they suffer. When you sign up with your monthly gift, you give them the shelter and the love they deserve. Do it in the next 10 minutes, and we'll send you the photo of an animal from our shelter and a free ASPCA t-shirt. If you've wondered if your support will make a difference, I can tell you, it will. And if you've ever thought about helping, this is the time.
I'll stand by you.
It's only 63 cents a day. Please go online or call before it's too late.
It's hurricane season. You need to know what weather is heading your way.
We've already got some rain out there this morning and severe storms developing.
America's Morning Headquarters has you covered. So start every day with the best in weather.
Time to check out the tropics for you. We're focused in here on the western Atlantic.
AMHQ.
Welcome back into AMHQ, your morning headquarters for weather.
Join Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno. Weekday mornings starting at 5 for AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
For Ethan, Brandon, Liam, and Casey, 4 childhood friends from Louisiana, a camping trip in New Mexico becomes terrifying when the Gila River swells up to an angry torrent and traps them in a steep canyon.
Saturday was Christmas Eve morning. That was the day that we were already supposed to be back in our houses with our families.
I was hoping to wake up and, see that the river had receded and we'd be able to march our merry way down, but it was still about chest level. So there was no way we were going to be crossing it without being taken along with it.
They hope that the search for them has already started, since they told the park rangers they would return by the previous evening. But the group doesn't want to wait for rescue. They are desperate to get home at least for Christmas Day. So they decide to try their luck and hike back, knowing that 7 dangerous river crossings lie ahead.
I was like, we gotta go. We gotta go now. We can get out of here. And then our first crossing came.
What these 4 friends are about to attempt is beyond dangerous. If you ever think about crossing a flooded river with a backpack, there are a few precautions that you must take. The first thing is we're going to remove any items that you don't need that are heavy from the pack. Now you want to leave items in the pack that will act as a flotation device, things like these water bottles or this dry bag full of clothes. When you put the backpack on, never buckle the buckles. You want to always be able to quickly jettison the backpack. Now lastly, and most importantly, don't put your backpack on your back, because if for some reason you lose your footing and you're knocked unconscious, this buoyant pack is going to float your face down into the water and you will almost certainly drown. Instead, take your backpack and put it on the front, like this right here. So as you can see, this pack right here is helping to keep my head up above water. And if I were unconscious, this could be the difference between life and death.
Casey volunteers to cross the raging river first, and his friends watch intently.
We assumed that the first river crossing would have been the hardest because it was the widest. And then from there it would get easier and easier and easier.
Luckily, we had a rope, a pretty strong rope and a carabiner, so that we could tie ourselves to the rope, tie the rope to a tree, and then cross the river.
Casey makes it across, secures the rope on the other bank, and the rest of the group follows.
We're like, oh, first one's easy, easy peasy.
Spirits lifted, the friends hike on to the second crossing, choosing a spot with trees on both banks for anchoring.
I was going to attempt to go across the river and set an anchor down so we can cross. And I made about 3 steps, and then my legs just shut off. And I immediately just got pulled back. The current was way too strong and the water was way too deep. Just remember the searing cold, so the legs felt numb.
Casey's friends pull him ashore, and he tries crossing the river again, but he almost drowns.
Casey, even though he had a line tied to him, was getting beaten up by the river as we were pulling him in. And I just realized that this is going to be tiring and we could probably die.
They managed to pull Casey out of the raging current again. Shaken but still undeterred, the group scouts the area for a shallower crossing.
And I find a place upstream, and I thought, if we could cross this, it'd probably be our best shot. So I take a walking stick and I kind of just go across, and that was the scariest point of the entire thing, because it's like, if I get swept away, I'm dying. There's no question.
Brandon and Ethan follow Liam into the raging current and make it across. Casey, battered and cold, reluctantly steps in behind them.
I made it around 3/4 of the way down, and then the same thing happened again. And at this point, my legs just turned off, and there was nothing to secure me, and I immediately just went up to around chest deep, and I was going down the river.
Watching his best friend fight a losing battle against the frigid current, Brandon jumps in to try and save his life.
Casey is exhausted at this point, and so I just see him floating down. We kind of toss and turn until we float to the bank of the other side, and we end up pulling ourselves into safety.
Casey and Brandon manage to escape to the other bank, bruised and winded from their fight with the angry river. Together again, the group decides to rest for a while, but then they realize their only water purifying straw got swept away from Brandon's backpack.
So at that point, we're like, this is bad. This has gone from bad to worse real quick.
The crazy thing is that these guys are surrounded by water. The only problem is that they've lost their mini straw filter, so drinking it is a huge risk. But they do have iodine tablets, which can purify water. But the only problem is that chemical purification doesn't work well with filthy water like this. So we've got to clean it up. The good news is there's an easy way to do that with a crude pre-filter. So to make this, I've got to sacrifice this water bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the bottom right off of it. I want 3 layers to this filter. I'm going to put the tightest, finest layer on the bottom. Now on top of my bandana, I'm going to put in some fine sand. All right, now I'm going to use these big pebbles. This is going to filter out my really big stuff like leaves and insect larvae. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to hang this pre-filter from my tripod. All right, perfect. Now that it's up, here's how it works. I'm going to pour water in the top. It's going to filter through these 3 layers a little bit tighter and better each time, and it should come out the bottom a whole lot more clean. We're gonna let that first run go right onto the ground because that's kind of washing out our sand, cleaning the dirt out of our sand. And then once it cleans up a little bit, we're gonna use the bottom of our water bottle as our cup. Just look at how clean this water is. Now that it's pre-filtered, the guys can use their iodine tablets to purify it so that it's safe to drink.
With 5 more river crossings to go, no food left, and their water filtration gone, the friends grapple with a bleak reality.
Brandon looked at us and said, if we don't get out of here, this river's gonna kill us.
I can't believe it.
What? That our new house is haunted by Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Hey, Jill. Hey, Kurt. Movies? I'll get snacks.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on our car insurance with Geico.
I got snacks. Ooh, I got popcorn. I got caramel corn. I got kettle corn. Right. Am I so too loud?
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The only thing better than horsepower is more horsepower. If we were for everyone, we'd be for no one.
With Dodge Power Dollars, more power means more cash allowance. Purchase now and get $10 per horsepower. That's $7,970 on the SRT Challenger Hellcat.
Connecting first responders to technology and to each other. FirstNet is the only officially authorized, highly secure wireless network without throttling or the clutter of commercial traffic. Built with and for first responders. It's the help you need to help the people who need you. destination.
The all-new Subaru Outback. Dog tested, dog approved. Subaru establishes National Make a Dog's Day. Do something special for your dog.
DiGiorno pizza bakes fresh in your own oven and travels straight to your table.
Unlike delivery that goes from oven to box to bag to car to traffic to wrong houses. Nobody delivers a piping hot and crispy crust like a DiGiorno pizza. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Dubai awaits. Taste the finer things in life. Rise above the ordinary. Travel through time. Play in the sand. Celebrate every day. Fly Emirates to Dubai for a world of good times. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
We were nowhere near prepared for what we witnessed.
It was very evident very quickly that this was the big one.
How can weather be that destructive in just a matter of seconds?
Storm Stories, the next chapter. All new episodes Sunday nights at 8 on the Weather Channel.
If your joints feel stiff, sore, and achy, it will get worse if you do nothing.
But most products just temporarily hide the symptoms.
Now there's something different. Instaflex Advanced.
It targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms.
Instaflex Advanced bathes your joints in its cutting-edge combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product for relief you can feel, backed by 5 clinical studies. For your complimentary 2-week sample of Instaflex Advanced, text FLEX to 321321.
Don't wait while your stiff, achy joints get worse. Target the root cause with Instaflex Advanced today. It's so powerful you could feel the difference in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC.
But you can only get your complimentary 2-week sample by texting FLEX to 321321. That's FLEX to 321321. Do it now.
Trapped by a flooded river in the steep canyons of New Mexico's Gila Wilderness, 4 friends must cross the raging rapids 7 times to return to safety. After the second crossing almost kills Casey, Brandon volunteers to lead crossing number 3.
I immediately walked down to the bank, tied the rope to the tree, and then tried crossing. And within that minute, I just dropped.
Carried by the strong current, Brandon is in serious trouble. When he finally surfaces, he's on his back, floating downstream fast.
My hand got stuck trying to pull him in, and so I had to call to the others, and thankfully we pulled him in.
Back on safe ground, no one in the group is willing to get back in the rampant waters. They are unsure what to do next.
Trying to cross a flooded river 3 times is a bad idea. But as long as the water's not too rough, there is a way to get across without going in, and it's called a bull boat. All you need are some flexible saplings, a tarp, and some rope.
The first step is to make the frame of the boat. To do that, I'll prop a centerline sapling with some rocks and then do the same for the 6 or so ribs. It's important to cut off any sharp branches or knots that might pierce the tarp. Next, I'd lash the ribs to the centerline with some twine and then add a couple more longer saplings on the sides for extra support. Finally, I add some paracord ties across the top to keep the boat shape stable.
All right, now with those paracord in place, I should be able to flip it over without it going crazy.